Hey, what's up? So, I had a question about playing the different versions of like the HD collection versus the original on the PS2s. Specifically Ratchet and Clank. I wanted to replay through the game, but I was kind of curious if there was a better version in the sense of the ability that you can play both at 4K at 60 FPS. So what would be the difference then between the games if you can run them at the same resolution and the same frame rate? That kind of really was my biggest thing, and I found no answers online at all or anything like that. So I wanted to kind of make my own video, kind of going over that difference to see if anyone might have any better idea. So right off the bat, right here, I got the Ratchet and Clank trilogy on the PS3 emulating right now. And I kind of chose this spot because there were some things that I noticed that we might be able to use to kind of see. The bolts are kind of one thing I've noticed. Those I believe have a brighter, kind of more vague glow on the PS2, but we're gonna kind of be using the foliage right over there as kind of a decent example. So on the PS3 collection, if I move like right about right here, that foliage right about right here kind of disappears. But if I move a couple bits closer, it gets a little bit more visible. And it's fully visible about about right here. So not too far away from it. So we'll kind of use the lily pads on the ground and stuff like that to give us a better idea. Um, and as you kind of go right here, they disappear. Another thing is the user interface, and the widescreen. As you can see right here, it feels a little bit better. And the user interface it got decently readable fonts. All the things here are a little bit crisp. It feels like as an HD collection should feel. Nothing feels blurry. Everything feels readable. There's nothing kind of really ultimately missing from that. So now we'll go ahead and minimalize this real quick, and we're gonna pop back to the PS2 version. So this version right off the bat, you could kind of, if you want to say, it feels a little bit more stuffed, in a sense. So what we'll do is we'll go down to that same spot here. We'll go ahead and take care of these guys real quick just to kind of get them out of the way. Um, so right about, I believe, get those guys out the way. So right about right here, that foliage is slightly visible, and if we get closer, it kind of fades in and it pops in. Um, but it looks like right here. So we'll stand right here, so we could directly compare the two. So this right here is on the PS2, and now on the PS3. Um, did it start me over? Oh, I believe it started me over for some reason. Can't run two emulators at the same time, evidently. But on the HD collection, I believe it feels like enemy characters a little bit more brighter. So standing right here in the same exact spot, we don't see what we saw on the PS2 version. We don't see that kind of little ghosting artifact right there. So you see right there, we can kind of see the foliage a little bit. And on the PS3 version, we're a little bit more zoomed out. We can see more things. Whereas the PS2, we're a little bit kind of closely behind Ratchet here. In the PS3 version, we're kind of a little bit farther out. So we'll just move a little bit farther away right here. And you can kind of see the side by side comparison. We're a little bit closer. You don't see as much around you. It looks like we kind of got a little bit more catering going on to the widescreen on the PS3 version. And just to make sure, we're gonna go to options, camera, or no, it was is this so the HD collection. I feel like maybe it's missing something. There we go. That right there. So that's on the PS2 version. Let's turn it off, see if that did anything. A little bit. Okay, so these are now both widescreens. So you can kind of see here that PS2 version has a little bit cut off. And we can see on the PS2, we can see a little bit up there, a little bit right there, and definitely all this right here. On the PS3 version, we can see this a little bit clearer, but all of that's missing over there. On the PS2, we can see this, and that piece of foliage essentially. In the PS3 version, it looks like that little bush right there is missing in its entirety. Um, so on the PS2, it seems like that stuff loads in quite a bit of ways away. And on the PS3 version, we have to get pretty close. And actually, that bush is gone. I believe it might have been a destroyable object. So let's see if we can maybe find something else to give us a little bit of a better definition. These right here. So yeah, you can destroy them. So I might have just destroyed them essentially. So let's just reload the initial area on both ends and see kind of what we get there. Loading screen's a little bit different because on the PS3 you can have a lot more saves than just 4. So that might be something to look at, is if you're doing a lot of saving, stuff like that. That's one gameplay mechanic. That's definitely different. So, let's see. Kind of got this going on right here. And then on the PS3 version, we're definitely zoomed out way more. Um, just kind of side by side right there, you can see it. And another thing I noticed is on the PS2, these textures on these plants right here are kind of blurred out. And on the PS3 version, I noticed that they're kind of crispified essentially, a little bit upscaled going on, and you can see these megacorp things right here. They're pretty easy to see there. Um, so what happens if we break that and kind of see what it looks like? Can't quite see that, but let's maybe use this as another example to kind of get a better idea as well. On the PS3 version. So let's see. So a little bit of major differences going on. It looks like some of the textures themselves are definitely upscaled. On the PS3 version, you can use this box as an example. It's kind of just dark, kind of a little bit not so vivid, kind of blurry looking. But on the PS3 version, you can see it that it's way crisper, way more defined, and you could definitely see the foliage right there. And on the PS2 version, that foliage is missing, but you could still see some of it. This is also kind of just blurred and dithered, and on this, it looks like it's almost replaced in its entirety. So let's maybe look in just a little bit of a different area. Let's see something just a little bit different. Right about like right here. Let's see. So this is the PS3 version. We can see those enemies pretty damn well. And then on PS2, let's just see if we see any major difference that we can see. It looks like we could still see everything pretty decent. They kind of look a little bit a little bit blurred this far away. This is definitely blurred all the way over there. It looks like I have to keep placing my characters. I think I'm accidentally controlling both ends. But on the PS3 version, it looks like here the enemies are way more detailed from farther away. For sure, there definitely are. Um, Kind of see they're just a little bit blurred, and we can kind of see more in the pretty much damn near the same exact spot. We can definitely got that going on. And this texture over there, it looks pretty blurry. So on the PS3, you can see more detail from farther away. That is for sure. It's either that or on the PS3 version, they have upscaled the textures in a sense. Um, so it looks like each version has their pros and cons. Um, there looks like there's kind of minor differences going on between the two, uh, for sure. But ultimately, the PS3 version looks like it has more crisp textures, a little bit better for HD and things like that. Um, Whereas on the PS2, things still look pretty damn great. But uh, let's just respawn on both ends, maybe. See if that might help. So yeah, this tree is a lot more detailed. Just overall, I feel like the PS3 version is way more detailed, but the PS2 version has a couple of quirks that might end up in your favor. Um, and as you get closer to the things on the PS2 version, you'll start to see, you know, that stuff up close. But on the PS3 version, you get kind of way more environmental detail, if you will, and you can see, crisper things from farther away. The draw distance is definitely way more favorable on the PS3 than it is the PS2. Even same resolution, same frame rate, pretty much same exact game. Uh, you know, Way more detail on a lot of different things. Like that tree right there looks way different on the PS3 away than it does on the PS2. But as you get closer, those extra details start to pop in. And on the PS3, those details are present from way farther away. So I guess my conclusion is the HD collection version, if you have the hardware for it to run it at a high resolution and high frame rate and all that, I would say it's definitely worth it, due to the fact that it's just having way more everything, way more detail. Boxes look better, foliage looks better, environmental details are all just overall way better on the PS3 version. So that right there, um, I would hope would answer that question and help anybody else wanting to play these two games. Other than that, I'll keep it just pretty much at that, just nice and short. If you guys found this useful or anything like that, just let me know. Comment, like, whatever you want to do. Appreciate it.